You think London is all about the Queen, fancy streets, and Big Ben? Well, think again. Because this city isn't just royal, it's absolutely hilarious. Here are 10 funny facts about London that'll make you say, wait, what?
Fact number 1. The Tower of London has its own ghost guards. You probably think the Tower of London is just a royal landmark full of history, right? Well, what if I told you it's also one of the most haunted places in the UK? According to local legends, the ghost of Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, still roams the tower at night. Here's the creepy part. People claim to have seen her walking around without her head. Yes, the same queen who was executed by her own husband in 1536. Even the royal guards, known as the Beefeaters, have reported strange encounters. Some say they've seen a shadowy figure holding her head, silently wandering through the corridors. But hey, this is London. Even the ghosts here have royal manners. So if you ever visit the Tower of London, keep your eyes open. You never know who might be haunting the halls beside you.
Fact number 2, London once had a short-lived ice fair on the River Thames. Imagine this, Londoners ice skating, drinking hot chocolate, and even roasting meat right in the middle of the River Thames. Sounds crazy, right? But it really happened. Back in the 1600s and 1700s, winters in London were so cold that the River Thames completely froze over. When that happened, people didn't waste a single chance to party. They turned the frozen river into a giant festival ground called the Frost Fair. There were stalls selling food, drinks, and souvenirs. There were games, music, even printing presses set up on the ice. Some people even rode horses and danced there, all while standing on a frozen river. But here's the twist. The last Frost Fair took place in 1814. Since then, the Thames hasn't frozen that thick again. So yeah, London once had an ice carnival, and it literally melted away. Haha.
Fact number 3. London has a time machine. Well, sort of. You've definitely heard of Big Ben, right? The giant clock tower that's basically the symbol of London. But here's something most people don't know. This perfect clock isn't always perfect. Yep, Big Ben, the clock that sets time for the whole city, sometimes runs a few seconds fast or slow. And guess what they use to fix it? Not fancy technology, not modern software, but old-fashioned coins. Whenever the clock is running slow, the engineers place a few old pennies on top of the pendulum to make it swing faster. If it's running too fast, they remove a coin or two. Each coin changes the time by about 0.4 seconds per day. So technically, London's most famous clock is powered by spare change. Next time someone says time is money in London, they literally mean it. Fact number 4. London has a floating post office. You might think post offices are boring buildings on the street, but in London, one of them literally floats. Yes, the Royal Mail Boat Service has been delivering letters and parcels along the River Thames for centuries. Back in the 19th century, when roads were crowded and London was growing fast, boats became a much faster way to move mail. But here's the hilarious part. Even today, a few of these floating post offices still operate for tourists and special events. Imagine posting a letter while standing on a boat, rocking gently on the Thames, and thinking, "This is my office today." And some people even dress up in old-fashioned uniforms while delivering letters. It's like stepping back into Victorian London. So, London isn't just royal and historical, it's also kind of magical and a little wacky. Next time you mail a letter in London, who knows? You might just send it via a boat. Fact number 5.
London has a secret disappearing street. London is full of history and hidden secrets, but did you know there's a street that can literally disappear? It's called Fitzroy Street, and back in the 1800s, parts of London had these narrow alleys and secret passages that would vanish or change depending on construction, fires, or city planning. Some streets that existed 200 years ago don't exist today, yet old maps still show them. Tourists sometimes get completely lost looking for addresses, only to realize the street they're searching for has disappeared. Locals joke that London has its own built-in magic trick. One day it's there, the next day, poof, gone! Even today, some of these old lost streets are only visible if you peek through tiny alleys or read historic plaques. So, if you ever feel like London is messing with your sense of direction, congratulations! You're experiencing its sneaky little secret.
Fact number 6. London's pigeons are basically royalty too. London is famous for its royal palaces, historic landmarks, and pigeons. Yes, pigeons! At Trafalgar Square, these birds are basically the unofficial mascots of the city. They strut around like they own the place, and honestly, they kinda do. Back in the day, feeding pigeons at Trafalgar Square was actually a popular pastime. Tourists and locals would bring bags of breadcrumbs and watch the pigeons gather in huge numbers, sometimes hundreds at once. People even dressed the pigeons up for festivals. Tiny pigeons in little hats. Of course, the city later restricted feeding because the pigeons got a little too confident and started making a royal mess everywhere. But still, walking through London, you can see them pecking around monuments, posing for selfies, and basically acting like true London citizens. So, in London, the birds might not have crowns, but they definitely rule the square.
Fact number 7. London's underground is older than some countries. Most people know the London Underground, aka the Tube, is super old. But did you know it's actually older than some countries? The first section opened in 1863, which makes it the world's first underground railway. Here's the funny part. Back then, trains were powered by steam engines. Imagine hopping onto a hot, smoky train under the city. Not exactly the fresh underground commute we know today. People complained about the smoke, the smell, and even the noise, but they loved the novelty. Over the years, the tube became more modern, but some parts of the network still have tiny, narrow tunnels that make you feel like you've traveled back in time. Tourists sometimes get lost in the maze, thinking, wait, am I in London or in a time machine? So next time you ride the tube, remember, you're literally traveling through history, and maybe a little chaos.
Fact number 8. London's red telephone boxes are technically useless, but iconic. When you think of London, what comes to mind? Big Ben? Double-decker buses? Or those bright red telephone boxes? Here's the funny part. Most of these iconic boxes don't even work anymore. With everyone using smartphones, you probably won't find a single soul making a call in them. Yet they still stand tall, perfectly painted, and photogenic, like celebrities posing for the city's Instagram feed. Some of the boxes have been repurposed into tiny libraries, art galleries, or even mini coffee shops. How cool is that? Imagine ordering a latte from a classic red phone booth. What? Tourists love them, locals ignore them, and Londoners just nod politely at their bright little companions. So while you can't really call anyone from these boxes, they still call attention like true London legends.
Fact number 9. London streets have secret names you'll never see on a map.
London is full of history, but some of its quirks are downright sneaky. Many streets in London have hidden or unofficial names that you'll never find on a regular map. For example, there are alleys and passageways tucked between buildings with names known only to locals or history buffs. Some of these streets were named centuries ago and still appear in old documents. But modern signage? Forget it! Walk through the city and you might think you're just turning a corner. But according to old maps, you've actually wandered onto Monkey Court or Love Lane. Even postal deliveries get tricky sometimes because addresses can change over decades, but the old names stick in stories. It's like London is playing a little game of hide and seek with everyone who visits. So, if you ever explore the streets of London, keep your eyes open. You might discover a secret street nobody talks about.
Fact number 10. London's famous black cabs have a secret knowledge test. London's iconic black cabs aren't just cool to look at, they're practically driving legends. Every taxi driver has to pass something called the knowledge, a test so tough that it can take years to complete. Here's the funny and crazy part. Drivers have to memorize over 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks in central London. Not Google Maps, not GPS, just their brains. Some drivers spend 3-4 years walking, biking, and driving around the city to learn every corner. And even after all that, tourists still ask for directions anyway. Imagine studying for years just to tell someone, turn left at the Big Ben and straight past the coffee shop. London's black cabs are basically superheroes, minus the capes, but with way more knowledge. So if you hop in a black cab, remember, you're in the hands of someone who literally knows London better than anyone else. Wow, so those were 10 hilarious facts about London that probably made you go, wait, what? If you loved this video and want to keep discovering more crazy city secrets every single day, don't forget to subscribe to Citynova. Yes, that's right, we drop fun, mind-blowing videos every single day. So hit that subscribe button, join the Citynova crew, and let's explore the world one hilarious fact at a time. And remember, life's too short to take cities seriously, especially London.